What is going on? It's definitely Nick here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So I just moved into a new apartment. I moved out of the dorms at ASU, and I'm here at a new apartment. I'm trying to get like an official setup. I'm literally in the kitchen of my apartment, or a kitchen table. And I just got these new posters, and unfortunately Logan reflects any light. So hopefully you can understand that. Hopefully you can understand the lighting issues and stuff like that. I'm at a new place. I'm still trying to figure everything out, so bear with me on this one. Anyways, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 just follows 4 months after the first Guardians movie, and it's just catching up with our heroes and just what's going on with them, what they've been up to, and they're basically doing jobs for hire. They're hired to, in the very beginning of the movie, they're hired to stop this beast from stealing these batteries or feeding off these batteries from the Sovereign. Then we also meet Peter Quill's dad, Ego the Living Planet, and the rest follows. It's hard to really describe what the movie's about without spoiling it and without, I don't know. Well, I'll talk about it a little later. So Guardians of the Galaxy 2 stars Chris Pratt as Peter Quill, Zoe Saldana as Gamora, Dave Bautista as Drax, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, Vin Diesel as Groot, as Baby Groot actually, Michael Rooker as Yondu, and Kurt Russell as Ego. There's more, but those are the main cast over there. It's also directed by James Gunn. James Gunn is the same director that directed the first Guardians movie, and he should direct any Guardians movie. He's so good at these movies. Alright, so first, let's talk about how this movie is way more character focused than the first, and that's all it's basically about is the characters. It's got Peter's relationship with his dad, how it feels finally seeing your dad after not knowing who he is and what's going on. There's a whole cloud of mystery around his dad, and finally meeting him and finally realizing, that he has a dad and he can have like a father figure, but maybe that wasn't the father figure that was there all along. And there's also the relationship between Gamora and Nebula, their sisterhood, basically growing up being raised by Thanos and just being raised to be weapons, and Nebula always losing to Gamora, and just that relationship really clashes in this movie. It'll focus on that a lot. And there's also Yondu figuring out his relationship with the Ravagers. He's an outcast, or what do they do? They exile him. He's in exile with the Ravagers, and he's basically like trying to figure out who, like he wants to be a part of this Ravager family, but they won't let him be a part of it, and that kind of breaks him down. There's also Rocket figuring out who he is, why he does, what are his motivations, like why he does the things that he does, why he's such a piece of shit sometimes. So yeah, they dive into Rocket's inner battles, and then they also have Peter and Yondu's relationship. Yondu kidnapping Peter when he was very young, and then just keeping him instead of returning him to his father. So there's that, where Peter's kind of a mistaken for why Yondu did that, and Yondu has maybe good intentions, maybe bad intentions. You don't know. You figure it out. So yeah, that's something about this movie, is that this movie was very character driven, and it just wanted to focus on the character. James Gunn, who has stated many times that this is a movie about family, and Guardians of the Galaxy is their own family, and then inviting new members into that family, and such as Mantis, Nebula, and Yondu. And so I've seen people complain about how this Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 has like no set story, and I think that's okay. And I think I noticed that the first or the second time I watched it. I noticed that it doesn't really have a set story. They fight that the battle in the beginning with the monster and the batteries and stuff, and then it just kind of like it gets choppy. It jumps around a lot, and I can understand why people complain about the story, but I think it was purposely done like that. James Gunn knows what he's doing. I think James Gunn knows what he's doing. James Gunn wanted a more character-driven story. He wanted to focus on these characters, and he also didn't want to focus too heavy on connecting this movie with the other movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and which was great, because I didn't see barely any connections with the other movies. I mean, there were a couple, I can't think of them at the top of my head right now, but there were a couple connecting back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but not a lot. It's just Guardians in space until maybe like Thor Ragnarok maybe does a callback to Guardians. So as a sequel, you kind of expect it to be bigger. Their budget gets bigger. The popularity is bigger, so it needs to be bigger. And this movie was, but it wasn't in a way that you would expect. Emotionally, and the weight of everything that they're doing between each other, and just relationships wise, everything. The weight of everything is just bigger, and that's what's more important. Instead of just having just giant explosions everywhere and just a giant battle on a giant landscape, instead of having that, they just had more emotional driven relationships, sort of like that. Moments, that's what I meant. Anyways, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, that was my favorite Marvel Cinematic movie ever. Like, out of all the other ones, that was my favorite one. That was the best one. I bought that instantly, or I got that instantly. I don't know. I probably was gifted it. But it was always my favorite because it was the perfect blend between action, emotion, and just, it was colorful too, and not a lot of Marvel movies were colorful, and it was just fun. It was fun, and this movie is actually funnier than the first one. They have a lot more jokes, and a lot of people complained about, those moments where you want to soak in that what just happened, and then it hits you with a one-liner or something, or a stupid joke. I didn't get that feeling. Maybe I'm just like a kiss ass when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe I just love them too much to understand like all these negativities, but I just really didn't feel that way with this movie. I think most of the jokes landed. I thought it was hilarious. Drax was hilarious. Everyone was amazing. I think they all made me laugh a lot. The soundtrack, the Volume 1 soundtrack, instantly I loved it. I downloaded that as soon as I got it in the movie. Volume 2 for this movie, I don't know. The first time I watched it, I was like, oh man, I don't like these songs. Like, I only liked like 2 or 3. I think it was Fleetwood Mac's song, Brandy. As I kept watching the movie, I've seen it 3 times, and as I kept watching, I was like, oh, these songs are actually pretty good. And I downloaded the entire the album, and I just keep listening to it. Like, I can't stop listening to it, and I'm just like, I'm so mad at James Gunn for being a genius at this. Like, he knows what songs work, and he knows these songs are good, and he puts them in the movie for a reason. And it's just each song like adds to the story, or it has something to do with that scene that's playing while the music is playing, and it's awesome. Kurt Russell as Ego did an amazing job. I think he was a very good addition to the story, and it was very smart for James Gunn to change the father of Star-Lord. It's supposed to be Jason of Spartax, I think, but he changed it to Ego the Living Planet. And I think that's really awesome because Peter has the celestial inside of him, and he has these powers. And I was really excited to see like Peter actually stand up to when it comes to Infinity War, because these guys aren't like superhumans. They don't have like crazy powers like Thor or Hulk or something, but they have. But I was excited for Peter to have these celestial powers. It's really hard to talk about anything in this movie without spoiling it, because there is a major twist, and there's like 2 major twists. Like, maybe you saw them coming, maybe it's easy to predict, but it's still, I don't want to talk about it and spoil the movie. Overall, James Gunn did an amazing job. The entire cast did an amazing job. Again, I would definitely see this movie again. I really want to see this movie again before it gets out of theaters. I see movies in the theater too many times. Like Logan, I saw it 3 times. This movie, I saw it 3 times. That's why they're on my wall now. These are the most recent movies that are just amazing to me, and I needed to get those posters. I'm probably gonna add like Spider-Man: Homecoming right there if it's good, hopefully. So overall, I think this sequel was just as good as the first one, if not better. I still have an inner battle between me to really decide if I liked this movie better than the first one. I just know it's as good as the first one. A lot of people don't think so. A lot of people think the first one was the best movie ever, and this one just falls short because of the story and the too much humor. But I really don't agree with that at all. I'm overall going to give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 a 9.5 out of 10. So there you go, guys. That's just my review on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I personally loved it. I'm so thankful that the first 2 movies of this trilogy, basically, it's going to be a trilogy of just these Guardians. I'm really glad that both of them are just top-notch. They're both my favorite Marvel movies now. Civil War will probably be behind that. But I think James Gunn did an amazing job. I think he knows what he's doing with the Guardians. I think he's the right director to have at the helm. And just the entire cast is amazing. Yondu was a real surprise for me in this movie. I didn't even like Yondu that much in the first movie. And in the second movie, he was one of my favorite Guardians now. So there you go. If you enjoyed my review, if you agreed, let me know in the comments below. Leave a like, all that stuff, all the basic YouTube stuff. What? My cat decided to join me today. So yeah, leave a like for my cat. I'm gonna beg for likes because of my cats. That's what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use my cat for likes. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Hanging on the fence, we're always somewhere.